Have you ever seen an image that you swear you've seen in a dream before? Something so oddly familiar that it's almost unnerving. Perhaps it was something like this, or this, or this. This is an image from a Dreamcore horror series called Sins of the Past by Forky. Back in February 2023, nearly a year ago, I made a video called Distressing YouTube Channels 4. In that video, I briefly covered Forky's channel and mentioned that at some point in the future, I'd analyze the series in depth. I was planning to do that, but as I was taking notes for this video, Soupy Soup released a phenomenal analysis of this series, so if you want an in-depth coverage of this series from a plot perspective up until now, check that out. That being said, I will be covering the series plot in depth when a new episode releases, but for now, I'd like to show you all what makes this series so amazing. So, instead of a story-based analysis, this will be more technically based. Even though I'll mainly be talking about this series from an audiovisual aspect, there will be spoilers for the series. That being said, Forky's series and my social media will be linked below, so check that out and let's go. I hope you enjoy this one. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to record this in the script, but stay tuned till the end, okay? Because I have a short interview with the creator, kind of what inspired them to do some of these audiovisual aspects of the series and stuff like that. So it might be something that some of you are interested in. Oh yeah, just check that out.
I really don't feel scared, okay? Let's just visit a few more houses and then go home.
Alright. Oh, what about that one?
Atmosphere. Defined by Google as the pervading tone of a mood or place, situation, or work of art. Pervading in this context meaning that the tone is always present. Atmosphere is what creates that tension before a jump scare, what turns a once bustling mall into what some consider a very unnerving and terrifying place, or what turns an already creepy abandoned house into a place of pure terror. The Mysterious House, an amazing work created by Martin Walls that was released on November 1st, 2020. Yes, this will all tie into Forky's series, okay, so just let me cook for a minute. This is an image of the inside of the mysterious house. Does it make you feel comforted because of the pictures on the walls and the fact that it's clearly furnished, meaning that people live there? Or does it make you feel unnerved because of the ominous lighting, leaving some aspects of the room bathed in darkness? I'm betting the background music also affects how you feel about this image too. For example, if the image switched to this image, I'm betting that absence of music makes you feel a lot more uneasy. Ignoring the massive clown standing there, the overall, atmosphere of the room is completely different. The lack of lighting here leaves a lot more to the imagination, and the fear of unknown, therefore, is much greater. Though that image isn't nearly as ominous as this or this. But that's enough of the mysterious house. I'll show you a couple other examples of atmosphere that I enjoy as well. One of the happiest places in cartoon history being turned into an ominous hellscape. One of the happiest places in fast food history being turned into a place of survival, ominous and seemingly unending. A normal arcade seeming off, dreamlike. The colors of the machines and the arcade's lighting all have this nostalgic, dreamlike quality, and the chatter of the other people mixed with the noises from the arcade machines can make you feel like you're in this place, wherever it is. Speaking of sounds, Sins of the Past has some amazing audio work, be it voice acting, music choice, ambient sounds, etc. I have a ton of moments throughout each of the episodes written down, and although we won't be covering all of them here, I'll definitely give you enough examples to show you why exactly I find this series so impressive from an auditory aspect. Like I said before, some of these moments do lay in spoiler territory, so I'm just saying right now, please check out the series linked below. We've already experienced the sights and sounds of that dreamlike arcade, but what about what happens directly after? Audio work that doesn't even need a visual aspect in order to draw you in.
You're gonna die too, aren't you? I can feel it. It's okay. We'll be reborn. Together. I'll never be alone again. I'll keep holding on to you. Forever.
The emotional power of this audio can't be understated. Even if you don't know what's going on, it may make you feel some type of sadness or pity for the character that's speaking. This probably makes you feel more terrified than anything. It sounds like being trapped in a closet, hiding from some unknown danger lurking in the dark just outside of it. At least, that's the first thing I think of. I'll play a few more audios and you can see how they make you feel.
Louis, can't you stop pulling me now? I don't want to go wherever we're going. I haven't felt my legs in a while now. It is cold after all. Can't we stop by my house to get some sweatpants and a coat? Why do you keep whispering to yourself, Louis? Can't you hear me? I don't want to go. Please drop me already. I need to go say bye to Charlotte and...
Sadness, pity, maybe even anger.
You promised me that we'd live forever. Together. Now, if you really wanted to do that, just give up on that stupid thought of yours.
Fear.
The atmosphere was painfully silent that night. I can't imagine how she is now, but back then, her anxiety was beyond draining to deep. She would cry at the raise of a hand, flinch at the raising of a voice. She had awoken in the middle of the night, noticing that something was terribly wrong. Parents had not come to tell her good night.
Tension, anxiety, uneasiness. Terror. Alright, you get it. The audio design in this series is really good, but what about the visuals? The amount of different technical things that are done with this series visually is pretty crazy in my opinion. As usual, I'll give you a few examples. The first is one of my favorites from Clarity. To add context, this is a portion where the police are interrogating Charlotte about the disappearances of her friend Nina and her sister, Tia. The paper animation style is one of my favorite from this series. The ending portion of this sequence reminds me of Nana 85763. Check it out. Another aspect I really enjoyed from the episode, Beginnings, were the 3D models. Credit to Multi-Eyed Kitten for those, by the way. Another example is when Charlotte meets King. King being the brother of one of the characters in the series. I won't spoil too much despite the fact that I said there were spoilers, but There's a reason that he's in that cell.
Fear? Yes. I hear all that goes on within this arcade. Children screaming, adults drinking. But enough of that. Enough about me. What is your name? Ruthie with a friend. That is wonderful. You've brought me good news, and that should keep me out for the time I'm stuck in here.
Just the sheer perspective presented here really immerses you into the moment. Even though he was a human at some point, this really just shows how he left his humanity behind as well. He just looks like some type of powerful, malevolent entity. Of course, I can't forget about probably my favorite visuals from the episode Township.mp4. I've always been a pretty massive fan of digital horror, specifically because of how nostalgic it is for me personally. Seeing the PC and website graphics of a time past presented in an unnerving way will never get old for me. One part I especially enjoyed was when they visited the Township website. If I didn't know better, I would truly have believed that this website was real, at least at some point. I love the GeoCities banner and the little star character guy that's super reminiscent of older websites. Speaking of digital graphics, what about some of the video game style graphics that this series presents? I think one example that heavily stuck out to me is from Clarity. Also, I know I keep going back and forth on this, but this is insane spoilers, so yeah, you've been warned. Also, a pretty intense scene.
I should have asked Lottie or her friends for help after all.
Despite the older video game graphics used in this visual, you can really feel the intensity of the ending. The lack of background audio here intensifies the atmosphere as well, in my opinion. We also get a really cool graphic right after this. Another from the episode, Beginnings, is pretty audio-visual. Even without knowing the context, you'll be able to see why I feel like this is one of the most terrifying clips and characters in the entire series.
If you move towards me or the girl, I'll kill her. That is your only warning. Oh my, you're worried about your friend? Hey, Charlotte. You alive or what? Oh, she's fine. You don't have to worry about her. Now then, to be blunt with you, you're gonna kill Goofy. I came up with this game while I was having my afternoon rest. Don't you find it fun? Taking so long. Oh, that's right, you need motivation, of course. Alright, if you don't, I'll kill all three of you. But if you do, Your prize will be your life as well as dear silence. Quick line, right. Feels like nobody here likes to have fun anymore. I'm giving you another chance. I'll sweeten the deal, too. If you kill her, I'll let you guys go, and I'll give you little hints as to who I am. That way you can relish in the sweet revenge, no?
The bit crushed rambling that sounds similar to feedback coming through a walkie-talkie or radio constantly playing in the background when this character speaks almost encapsulates this air of mania. It seems like his mind has completely left reality to fulfill whatever purpose he deems fit. Okay, so for the interview segment here, I basically just asked Forky kind of what inspired their series, and I also asked them not only what inspired them, but also what caused them to choose so many different, avenues visually and things like that for the series. So I'm gonna read their answer, okay, and you can get a little bit more information, get a little bit more insight into this series. So I have plenty of aspirations. Some are very easily seen in my work, and some are a lot harder and more personal, I think. Just off the bat, the main inspiration for the concept of the series to begin with probably comes from a lot of childhood experiences I've had. Dreams with dead relatives or family friends being in them, and trying my best to piece together a message from the nonsense. Whether it was real or just random garbage noise my brain made up didn't much matter to me. I was still obsessed with piecing together a message. It didn't even have to be dreams with these deceased persons. I could have normal dreams that had reoccurring themes that I would try my best to piece a story together with. I'm sure everyone has had that before. Multiple dreams that connect together nicely to make a story. I wanted Sins of the Past to be something like that. Going through the dreams of somebody and trying your best to piece together a story while they did as well. It's why I wouldn't necessarily say Sins of the Past story is too complicated, rather just complicated to figure out sometimes. I've had lots of fun seeing people's interpretations and theories because that's the nature of dreams in general. Visually, I'd say I was just inspired by many years in the Dreamcore community. At this point, I think I've been making scattered Dreamcore content since 2018? The channel that got me into this was Baphometkun mainly, who makes really just interesting Dreamcore content. I was so inspired by the scattered videos that seem to loosely connect a narrative. Sins of the Past attempts to have a more tied together narrative just because I really like writing characters and I wouldn't want my characters to be completely unrecognizable. I chose so many visual mediums in Sins of the Past for a few reasons. I'd say mainly because I wanted to experiment with having so many different visual styles while keeping one general atmosphere and mood. I wanted to keep that disturbing and yet sometimes somewhat comforting dream aesthetic while changing so often. It may be a symptom of the Dreamcore community as a whole. From the creators I've seen work of, they change styles very often. Originally, I was planning on making just another normal analog horror with a VHS filter over it all the time, keeping it as authentic to the time as I could. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that. My favorite series is Local 58 after all. But it just wasn't Sins of the Past. It wasn't dreamy. It's a bit different from most storytelling practices, but I like it. I like being flexible and creative. Sins of the Past has allowed me to stretch out that creative bone of mine, and I really couldn't ask for anything better. It's been a blast to make and to see the community response.